Academic Talk English അറിയുമായിരുന്നു. Judges, please note, call letter A on the stage. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Hello everyone. We are living in a world where our community, the society is being immersed by the Western language and a massive number of people, and they are forget their mother tongue. First, what is lingua franca? Lingua franca is a common language used for communication between speakers of different native languages. Historically, it was often adopted for trade, diplomacy, or cultural exchange, allowing people from diverse linguistic backgrounds to communicate effectively. While the term itself has origin in a medieval trade route, where a simplified form of Italian was used as a bridge language in the Mediterranean, the role of lingua franca is by no means confined to the past. In modern context, English has assumed the position of most widely recognized lingua franca. However, before we focus on English, it is essential to understand that a lingua franca can be any language that facilitates communication across cultures. For example, Arabic language once served this role across the Islamic world, Latin in Europe during the Roman Empire and the Middle Ages, and even Swahili in parts of East Africa. What is the role of lingua franca in global communication? The role of lingua franca in global communication is it shapes the way we communicate or do business and interact across the borders, etc. In the modern lingua franca, today English is the dominant lingua franca in international business, science, technology, and diplomacy. A 2023 report by Analog estimates that around 1.5 billion people speak English, but only about 400 billion are native speakers. This indicates that English's true power lies in its ability to act as a second language for non-native speakers who need to communicate on the global language. The dominance of English as lingua franca stems from historical factors, including British colonialism and the rise of the United States and global power. But beyond the history, the utility of English lies in its extensive reach across all aspects of modern life. The pros and cons of the global lingua franca. The rise of English as a lingua franca offers numerous advantages. It simplifies communication in international contexts, reduces misunderstandings, and enables collaborative work across nation boundaries. In academic and professional fields, having a shared language helps disseminate knowledge faster and more widely. However, the dominance of the language comes with challenges. Critics argue that it can lead to erosion of linguistic diversity Language is more than just a tool for communication. It is also an essential part of cultural identity. The spread of English can marginalize logical languages and cultures, leading to homogenization of global culture. Furthermore, not everyone has equal access to resources needed to learn English as English becomes more integral to economic and social advancement. Those without proficiency may find themselves at a disadvantage, perpetuating inequalities. The future of lingua franca. As we look to the future of lingua franca, we should ask whether English will remain the global lingua franca, although it currently dominates. Other languages are gaining influence due to shifting global power dynamics. Mandarin Chinese, for example, is becoming more prominent in business and diplomacy, especially with China's growing economic influence. Technology could also alter the role of lingua franca with advancements in artificial intelligence and real-time translation tools. The need for a single lingua franca may diminish, allowing people to communicate in their native languages while technology bridges the gap. A lingua franca is not just a tool for communication, it is a reflection of our culture and identity. English currently serves the global lingua franca, but this may change as the world continues to evolve as we navigate this globalized world. It is crucial to consider both the benefits and challenges that come with a common language and strive for a balance that respects linguistic diversity while promoting effective communication. And concluding my words, thank you.
Why the English language became the lingua franca of the world? What is the relevant cause of it?
The relevant cause of lingua franca, the British colonialism is promoted the English, the lingua franca about of English language. Assalamualaikum.
Corrector, be on the stage.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone, respected teachers and my beloved friends. Today, I will be discussing on a topic of paramount significance in the field of linguistic education and global communication. English as the world's lingua franca. Firstly, what is the lingua franca? This term refers to a language that used to communicate between speakers of different tongues. In today's globalized world, English occupies this role more prominently than any other language. Over the next few minutes, we will explore how English achieved this status, the domains it influenced, and the implication of its global domains from an academic perspective. Firstly, we want to discuss about how English occupies this status as lingua franca of world. We want to go back to 18th or 19th centuries. Then there is a emperor called known as the emperor never sets. Yes, the British Empire, they are the reason. The British Empire played a pivotal role in spreading English across the continents. During 18th and 19th centuries, English was established as the language of administration, governance, and education on its colonies, including vast regions of Africa, Asia, and Caribbean. This linguistic legacy of colonialism remains a significant factor of English as global lingua franca. As we know, in our country, in India, the English played as the language of official meetings and court. Secondly, we want to know the economic and industrial growth. The Industrial Revolution, which originated in Britain, positioned English as the language of technological and economic advancements. English became associated with modernization, industry, and scientific innovation, furthering its international influence. In the 20th century, the geopolitical rise of the United States cemented English global reach. America's dominance in international finance, technology, and culture, ranging from Hollywood cinemas to the Silicon Valley innovations, further solidified English as the language of international communication. Thus, historical, economic, and political forces combined to position English as the primary global lingua franca by the mid-20th century. Today, English plays a critical role as a lingua franca across multiple domains like education and academia, science and technology, business and international trade. English dominates academic discourse, especially in higher education. Many prestigious universities, particularly in non-English speaking countries, offer degree programs in English to attract students. Furthermore, a vast majority of academic journals and papers, particularly in science, are published in English, making it essential for global academic exchange. The influence of English in science is profound. Over 90% of scientific research is published in English, and the majority of technical manuals of programming languages are based in English. For professionals in these fields, English proficiency is often a prerequisite for participation in global knowledge production and dissemination. English is the primary language of global commerce. Multinational corporations operation in English as their corporate lingua franca, and major international trade negotiations and agreements are often conducted in English, allowing for seamless communication across borders. And we want to discuss about the implications of English as global lingua franca. While the rise of English as global lingua franca facilitates communication and collaboration, it also raises several important issues like cultural hegemony and linguistic imperialism. English dominance can lead to the marginalization of other languages and cultures. Scholars have discussed the concept of linguistic imperialism, where the English contributes to the erosion of linguistic diversity. As smaller languages face extinction under the pressure of globalization in English prevalence. In conclusion, English status as the global lingua franca is the result of historical, economic and cultural forces that have shaped its rise. While its dominance facilitates international communication in business, education, science and diplomacy, it also raises complex questions about linguistic diversity, equity and cultural representation. As we move forward into a more interconnected yet multipolar world, the future of English as the lingua franca will depend on how this dynamic evolves.
From the primary stage in our Indian schools, English being taught as a main communication media. From the primary to secondary and higher education level also, all disciplines are in English. Why it is happening?
Across the world, not only in India, there are studying their students in English because it is the global language and the lingua franca of the world. Especially in India, we can say that this is the influence of colonialism of British Empire. And as we saw in our courts, we can see that English used as a language of court and many other official meetings. And our government trying to teach our children to become a communicator of between through foreign countries, and they are promoting the English language. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Collator C on the stage.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. In this moment time I am intending to talk about the English language is a lingua franca in this world. Before we discuss in the topic, many questions are stuck in our hearts. What is meant by the lingua franca and how to become the English lingua franca? Firstly, I define what mean by the lingua franca. Lingua franca is a language that is adopted by the common means of the communication between peoples whose natives are different. It refers to which facilitate the understanding and interaction with various contexts such as trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchanges. The English language became a formal language through the historical and the social cultural developments. The first cause is became the formal language is the colonial expansion. The British Empire extensively ruled all part of the world and spread the English language all continents. And second cause is the standardization. The development of the dictionaries and the grammar books and the style guides, the standardize the English language, and this development helped to standardize the English language. And the another cause is the Industrial Revolution and the globalization. The Industrial Revolution and the subsequent globalization that help to increase the English language all part of in commerce and science and technology. Through the historical context and the standardization and the cultural influences that help to solidify the English language concept in formal language. Uh, the, what is the historical background of the English language? The historical background of the English language is the Old English. That is the Germanic tribe Anglo that migrated to Britain and forming the Old English. And the another cause, the another the middle is the Norman conquest at the 11th century that the Latin and French words converted to the English vocabulary. The early middle of the history of the English language is the invention of the printing press by the Johannes Gutenberg. That helped to standardize the English language, and the modern is the colonial expansion. The British Empire plays a significant role in the spread of the English language worldwide, and they introduced the English language to Asia, English to Africa, English to America, English to Pacific regions. The English have a legacy, the English have a sovereignty, the English have a veracity, the English have a posterity. And through the world with the influence of the British Empire, modern English are spread the all part continents. The Dutch philosopher and the professor of the Copenhagen University, the Robert Philison argued in the book of the linguistic imperialism. They emphasized the deliberate spread of the English language, the deliberate surgery by the American and the British dominance and the profit. Furthermore, the global influence of the Hollywood movies and the popular music like rap songs, hip hop songs, and the international news are largely due to widespread use shaping the global culture and trend. In education, the English widely taught as a second language all countries. The 16 sovereign countries use the formal language in English language, and the many countries use the English language the second language countries like India. And the English roles have a lingua franca undeniably significant for the international world and culture across the globe. By doing so, we can truly harness the power of the English, the lingua franca, to all benefits all. The Jennifer Jenkins, the British scholar Jennifer Jenkins argued the English language is the lingua franca for use all native speakers and common peoples for interacting all countries to interacting for all people. I conclude my words with this.
Which was the official language of India before English? Before English, which was the official language of India?
Before English, now is English the mother tongue. Hindi should be the British came before the British came. The Mughals ruled the India, and they used the Persian language for official matters.
Okay.
Call letter D on the stage.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear friends, today we are exploring about the fascinating role of English as global lingua franca. A lingua franca is a language that people who do not share their native language. Yes, it was correct. In this time, people all are saying English for a professional communication, and for example, based on an educational level, there are many books that are written by English, and we can see only one or two native language subjects in our syllabus, and all are written by English language. Because of that, we know the power of English language. English has emerged dominant lingua franca, and the international dialogues such as business, education, and science, diplomacy. Dear friends, we first want to look at the historical context of English. The rise of English is based on, and we want to track back into some historical events such as British colonization. We all know that in the time of British colonization, they tried to share their language to worldwide. And we want to look this century, this time, all people are started to speak in English language. We want to look on that time, they are starting to setting their language, and on this time, they get into that goal. And in the Second World War, United States, their cultural and economical influences further on English global sites. Dear friends, we want to get into some examples. For all that, examples are based on business and trade basis. There was a Japanese company and there was a Britain company. The Japanese company want to communicate with this Britain company. Will they speak their native language to this Britain company? No. They will speak only English language on this time. That was the power of English language. For an international corporation, will they write their email and reports on their native language? No. They write only in English language, their mails and their reports. That was the power of English language. For example, there was an international conference. There are many people comes from many countries and they will speak only in English. They didn't use their native language on this time. Dear friends, we want to think that the English language that come from on a morning note, that come by step. First, a Anglo-Saxon, that was a tribe. They came to Britain and they started to speak English. That was their first period of that time. On the middle period, the Norman conquest introduced French language to English language. And it was on middle period. On the early period, the Johannes made a printer machine. On that base, they print many books, newspapers, magazines, and they shared into whole part of the countries. By like that, the English language are raised up to up. The English was formal language of 60 countries and second language of 120 countries. Dear friends, the English language are becoming a professional language in this world, and I am concluding.
Is there any opposite movements against English as world lingua franca?
There was three important languages and English had third position on it. There was Chinese language and Spanish language and Arabic language in the base of this concept and these languages are lingua franca.
അവിടെ പിന്നെ ജനറേറ്റർ ഓണാക്കുള്ള അവിടെ കുറച്ച് തരാം.
Correlator key on the stage.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Good morning everyone. Thank you for being here today. I am excited to talk about a relevant topic that profoundly affects our globalized world. That English is a lingua franca of the world. First, let us clarify what we mean by lingua franca. Lingua franca is a language that serves as common means of communication among speakers of different native languages. Historically, there are so many languages has fulfilled this role, like Latin in academia and French in diplomacy and Arabic trade. However, today, English has taken the lead, becoming the most dominant and prominent language across the globe. So, in this talk, I will explore how English rose to this status, the implication it holds, and the challenges it presents, and the future one will behold. Then, as a preacher of Islam, how it affects us. I think the last one is the key point of my talk as concerns to me and you all. So, English as a lingua franca. So the rise of English as a lingua franca can be traced through historical and modern factors. Historically, as we know, the British Empire at its height spread this language far and wide. When the United States of America became the global superpower in its economy and its culture and its technology. In the contemporary world, globalization has played a significant role. Through this, as business expanded internationally, through this, English has become the language of commerce. So, where is English being used today? In business and economy, English is the primary language for their international transactions. There are so many companies, there are so many multinational corporations have selected English as their language, as their working language. Then, in academia, landscape is similar. There are so many conferences are conducting in this language, and the most portion of scientific research is also published in this language. This has made the English efficiency essential to the scholars and researchers across the globe. Then, in technology, English is ubiquitous, from programming languages to interfaces. There are so many companies like Google and Microsoft have selected English as their standard language for their communication. Then, despite its advantages, the English as a lingua franca, the rise of English as a lingua franca has also brought some challenges. Mainly equity and access. There is a stark disparity between native and non-native speakers regarding their fluency and their confidence. This can create barriers among them to participate in international discussions. Additionally, the risk of homogenization also looms large. As English experts, we must be mindful about the loss of our linguistic diversity. So, the efforts to promote multilingualism and the efforts to promote cultural pluralism also can encounter the trend. In future perspectives, looking ahead, we see some emerging trends like technology, particularly AI and translation tools. These things will play a crucial role in shaping communication. As these tools become more sophisticated, we must be enable a rich interaction among speakers of different native languages. So, dear friends and esteemed preachers of Islam, the rise of English as a lingua franca also affects us on us. So, as you becoming English as a lingua franca is not only a language for communication, it's also a language it's also a powerful tool for outreach and education and interfaith dialogues. As you become the effective preacher of Islam, I will encourage you to embrace English as the vital part of your journey and use it as a tool for message and use it the tool for the message of peace and compassion. Through this, you are contributing a harmonious world. May Allah grant us in His Jannatul Firdaus, and may Allah grant us as a good preacher of Islam. Thank you for your attention. I would like to conclude and I welcome valuable thoughts and questions among this important topic.
Okay. In English language, there is a famous categorization as in Britain English and American English. Why it is happening?
I think, as I said, that America has become also as a global superpower after English. So the ultimate power of the Britain and America has also become the different. I think there will be a barrier to good contact as the colloquial languages, as the dialects. So it will happen. Assalamu alaikum.
Call letter F on this page.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So I am here before you once again, and you are so excited. I can see excitement in your face because today is the last day of NATHAKALLAM 2K24 Adverse. And before we conclude our celebration, let's embark on a journey which is related to English language. So let's embark on this journey with the introduction of English language and get ready to get started. Okay, come on. English is a West German language that was first spoken in the early medieval England and is now the global lingua franca. Its name ultimately derives from Angles, a German tribe later migrated to England. It ultimately derives its name from Angles, a peninsula in Baltic Sea, and it is closely related to Frisian language, but its vocabulary is significantly influenced by many other German languages, such as Latin, Norse, and French. And the exciting fact about English language is English language has a course of more than 1,400 years. And the earliest forms of English, a set of lingua franca that brought to the Great Britain by Anglo-Saxon in the 5th century and was known as the Old English. The Middle English began in the late 11th century with the Norman conquest of England and was highly influenced by Spain. And the modern English began in the late 15th century with the introduction of printing press to London, the printing of James Bible, and the great start of vowel shift. And through the highly influence of Britain Empire all over the world, it influenced English language, it spread out English language all over the world from the 17th to 20th century. Through all types of printed and electronic media and the emergence of United States as a global superpower, English became the leading language of international discourse and the lingua franca in many regions and the professional contests in science, navigation and law. English is the third most spoken major languages after Standard Spanish and Chinese. And English is the first spoken as the second languages and one of the official languages, those who speak English as their second languages. And it is closely related to many other. So there are many other languages which words are borrowed from the English languages. That is the reason. That is the main reason it became the lingua franca in this world right now. And the British Empire, the colonies, the British started teaching the students that after capturing every single country in this world, Big Britain started to educate them. They started to learn them, teach them their methods of language, experiences and other things. That made this English language grow so far. And this is what the reason. And the printing press, with introduction to London, the introduction of printing press, that also makes the many other Bibles. Like Bible is the holy book, and that makes English language more spread and more widely because the Christians printed it a lot, and it makes it is a big reason that makes English language as a lingua franca. And English language is commonly spoken in United Kingdoms, United States, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, and some parts of Caribbean, South Asia, Africa, and etc. And it is a co-official language in United Nations and European Unions and many other regional and other world international organizations. And there are more than 70% of this world is speaking international language as an English language. That is what thing make English as a global lingua franca. And that's all for today. Thank you for your kind observation.
English language, when we think the global level, is the first language that is published more books as far as concerned to other language. Why this?
Because before English, Arabic was an international language that spread all over the world by the conquering of Spain, etc. Arabic language was in a level that English was now. But the introduction of printing, when printing started, the Muslims have a rule that printing is prohibited. So that they don't allow the holy books first they don't allow the holy books like Quran for printing. That time the West utilized this time and they printed a lot of Bibles and they expanded their superpower, their language through printing. The printing is the main reason that the reason that English became the way it is now. And that's all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Call letter G on the stage.
Dear friends, English is a West Germanic language that was first spoken in early medieval England and is now a global lingua franca. Named after the Angles, one of the Germanic tribes that migrated to the England, it ultimately derives its names from the Anglia Peninsula in the Baltic Sea. It is closely related to Frisian language and but its vocabulary has been significantly influenced by other Germanic languages, particularly Norse, Latin and French. English has developed over the course of more than 1,400 years. The earliest form of English, a set of Anglo-Frisian dialects brought to Great Britain and Anglo-Saxon. The Middle English began in the late 11th century of Norman conquest of England, and it is a period which the language influenced by the French. Early modern English began in the late 15th century with the introduction of printing press to London. The printing of the King James Bible and the start of the Great Vowel Shift. For the worldwide influence of the British Empire, modern English spread around the world from 17th to mid-20th centuries. Through all type of printed and electronic medias and spread by the emergence of United States as a global superpower. English has become the leading language in international discourse and the global lingua franca and professionals contexts such as science, navigation and law. English is the third most spoken native language in the world after standard the Chinese and Spanish. It is the most widely learned second language and one of the official language in 60 sovereign states. There are more people who learn it a second language than there are native speakers. English is the most commonly spoken language in the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Australia, Ireland and New Zealand. And it is widely spoken in some areas of Caribbean, Africa and South Asia. It is a co-official language of the United Nations, the European Union and many other worlds. It is the most widely spoken Germanic language, accounting for at least 70% of speakers of this Indo-European branch. English has a vast vocabulary. To counting how many words any language has is impossible. English speakers are called Anglophones. The modern English grammar is the result of a gradual change from a typical Indo-European dependent marketing pattern with a rich inflectional morphology and relatively free word order to a mostly analytic pattern with little inflection. Modern English relies more on auxiliary word order for the expression of complex tenses, aspects and mood as well as passive construction, interrogatives and some negation. The English used in different countries and regions in terms of phonetics and phonology and sometimes also vocabulary, grammar and spelling. English speakers from around the world are able to communicate with one another with relative ease. Thanks for your time observation.
English vocabulary words are increasing year by year. In all year, in every year, the vocabulary is increasing. What is the cause of it?
The English is the powerful language and is mostly worldwide language. So the firstly the British promoted and supported the English very much, and then all countries supported the English second language.
Next, call letter H on the stage.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Good morning, esteemed colleagues, professors, and fellow students. Today, I would like to explore an important subject, English as a lingua franca of the world. Firstly, what is the term lingua franca? The term lingua franca refers to a language that enables communication between peoples who do not share the same native languages. In today's globalized world, English plays a unique and vital role in connecting individuals across diverse linguistic backgrounds. But how did the language English attain this position, and what is its implications? To begin with, the role of English as a global language can be traced back to the historical factors, particularly the expansion of British Empire. By the end of the 19th century, the British Empire controlled territories in every continent and expanded English from Asia to Africa and North America to Pacific. This laid the foundation for English as a widely spoken language. However, the true consolidation of English as global lingua franca occurred in the 20th century when the United States rises as a global superpower. The United States dominance in areas such as international trade, finance, science and technology has played a crucial role in making English indispensable. English became the language of diplomacy and the language of global organizations like World Bank and United Nations, and crucially it became the language of business. Today, English is the default language in multilingual corporations and companies. Another critical dimension of English as global language is its role in education and science. English is the leading language in academic research and publications. Major scientific journals and conferences as required to contribute. Often require contributions in English, even from scholars whose native languages are different. This has made the English as the language of exchange and innovations. Researchers, students, and academics from non-English speaking countries has required to study English and use it in order to access to up-to-date scientific literature and participate in global conversations. In addition, the digital revolution has further solidified English global dominance. The internet, a cornerstone of the modern life, operates largely in English. While many websites are multilingual today, the English is the most common used language in online. Many global platforms like Google, YouTube and social media often default to English, and programming languages and technological frameworks are primarily developed in English. This means that anyone who needs to fully engage in digital world, especially in artificial intelligence and information technology, they must have proficiency in English. However, while the spread of English as the lingua franca has numerous benefits, there are also challenges. One concern is the impact on linguistic diversity. With English becoming the dominant language, many regional and indigenous languages will face the threat of extinction. Furthermore, the pressure to learn English can lead to inequalities, as not all individuals have equal access to the quality English education. For example, there is a book named Half Girlfriend written by Bhagat. In that book, that is a story of a Bihar student who studying in St. Stephen's College in India. That is mostly famous by its academic accommodations and its academic rules. In that book, in his story, he faces many. His English accent is different from other students, and he faces many threats from that. It is important to recognize that while English facilitates communication and global cooperation, it is not the only solution. In conclusion, English status as the world's lingua franca is the result of historical, economic and technological forces. Its role in business, education, science and technology has made it indispensable in the modern world. However, we must also be mindful of its potential effects on linguistic diversity and cultural identity. As English continues to serve as unifying language, we must balance its global role with efforts to preserve and celebrate our world's diverse language and cultures. Thank you for your attention.
In English literature, there is a movement against English from third worlds, from Africa, from India and other worlds. So what about it?
Because the Africa's and India's first languages is not English, so they mostly uses other languages in their countries, and there leads a movement against it. Assalamu alaikum.
HIDAYA അറബിക്കുള്ള എല്ലാ വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളും എത്രയും പെട്ടെന്ന്